Okay.
Welcome back, Generation to Generation Cowboys and Sports Talks. My dad, my partner, my co-host, CowboyJoe 64.
I am your father.
Just to get the Cowboys two good games to hopefully understand that they need to go receiver and go high with this next pick.
Yeah, yeah, that's really what this is gonna be about.
All right. You're looking live at Generation to Generation Cowboys and Sports Talks. I'm the host, DJ Itelluwhat. And I'm joined with my co-host, my dad, Cowboy Joe, Cowboy Joe 64 on Twitter. And we back with another one. Make sure you share this on your Facebook because I put it we live on TikTok, my Facebook, and the YouTube. So we're not live
Uh,
on your Facebook. So make sure you share this video on your Facebook.
so I thought I always do it. I just posted it on my Facebook, so I didn't share it.
No, if you did, if you did, that's fine. You just not live. We're just not live on your Facebook. We
So how
live.
do we go live on my Facebook?
I have to. We can do it on the next stream. We always been live on your Facebook, but this time instead of putting it on your Facebook, I put it on our TikTok because I can only do three. So
So,
so you
so what
so
do I need to do anything? Or?
nah, you good. So yeah. So welcome back everyone for our Saturday night Thursday night live. It's feel like a
Feel
Saturday.
feel like a Friday or a Saturday.
Yeah, feel like a Friday or Saturday because we got the 4th of July tomorrow. So, you wanted to talk about the O line. Is that what you wanted to? You had something. You read something interesting about the O line that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so this Duke Manyweather, he's done a couple of interviews, so people are just talking about it, and it's so much that's come out of it. 'Cause there were just a lot of things that were being said about Duke and how he was working with the linemen and maybe not working with the linemen. So I want to talk about that a lot, talk about that some, and but no, we just want to kind of say appreciate people joining our channel, the people that do join. So we're doing a late night show and just kind of talk about how we why we doing our channel. So the father and son content creators, we kind of bringing something new to the space, and
Shout out to you, Ken.
appreciate it, Ken. So what we're doing, we're father and son content creators. So I'm a third generation Cowboy fan. Grew up in the '70s when the NFL became the NFL and when the Cowboys became America's team. I went to a lot of games in the '70s and the '80s, and in the '90s when they made their comeback, I was at a lot of those games. For the most part, was a sort of a semi-season ticket holder, and so got a lot of history about the Cowboys. I'm kind of a quasi Cowboy historian, and then you grew up going to Cowboy games, watching the Cowboys, and you're a fourth generation Cowboy fan. So we kind of have a different perspective on things. So what we're trying to do is just kind of do something that no other content creators are doing and just do it the right way. Just do it organically and grow our channel. And hey, just
What's up,
trying to
Keystone?
Keystone, that's one of my guys. So Keystone is one of the content OGs, and so we're just trying to hook up with some of the content creators that we align with, like Boss Cowboy. Henny gave us a shout out last night,
Mm-hmm.
and Landlord is a guy I've been listening to for a long time, and then you got Big Time Show. He and I are fraternity brothers, so we got a good connection going with a lot of the guys. So, but no, just kind of wanted to kind of refresh people on what we're actually about and what we do and what we bring to the Cowboy content space.
Yeah, and like you said, Ken. I mean, we this is really how we got started. We rather listen to the content creators than listen to ESPN. We rather listen to the content creators than listening to the local shows, just because of the perspective and just because, we just regular guys, and a lot of times we don't necessarily agree with the talking heads, and a lot of times these the ESPN and they don't they're not in depth like we are. They don't they don't eat, and sleep and breathe, Dallas Cowboys like we do. This is something that we go to sleep with it on our brain and wake up with it on our brain. So it's just cool to pick everyone else's brain. And like I said, really what made it fun for me was that, and made it okay with me is just that um everybody feels the same. You know what I mean? Like everybody, all the Cowboy Nation, it was like a couple of years ago, maybe, I say about 5 or 6 years ago, everybody would be all over the page on what's the problem and who's to blame. And the casual Cowboy fans, or the casuals, they always holler the quarterback, or they'll say it's Jerry Jones and da 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 da. ESPN definitely is biased. Jerry Jones really, from what I'm hearing, Jerry Jones, my dad said Jerry Jones really started the NFL Network and ESPN, like sports TV and all that kind of stuff. He said it wouldn't be the way it is without him, without what he did, and what Tex
Well,
did.
well, Tex made the NFL. Tex Schramm, the original Cowboys general manager. He is the person that. So baseball was the number one sport all the way through the 1960s.
Mm.
1970s, the NFL became the number one sport because of Tex Schramm and the NFL commissioner Pete Rozelle.
So there you go, a little bit of history on that. And so it's just like, ESPN, it is biased, you know what I mean? And like I said, it's, so, we all feel the same. I say, that the tide shifted probably about 2 years ago. All the Cowboy Nation, we all start feeling the same way after we start getting to the first round playoffs, and we realize, it's been 30 years since we won a second playoff game. This is not like a happenstance type of thing. It's just like they have not figured it out in 30 years. And it's been different regimes, different players, different coaches, different schemes, different coordinators, different everything. And they still the best of the best and the worst of the worst. Bill Parcells, Jason Garrett, Wade Phillips. I mean, the list. I mean, Mike McCarthy. The list goes on and on and on. You got championship winning coaches that just, for some reason, they couldn't figure out how to win a second playoff game here. They just couldn't
Mhm.
do it. Tony Romo. You got a lot of players that Hall of Fame players. To, I mean, I could. The list goes on and on and on. I mean, To, Dez, Tony Romo, Zeke, a lot of great players that came through here, and nobody was able to, get us over the hump. We were never able to put it together all at the same time. And then to make matters worse, a lot of coaches and players, they're here and then they leave and win, which is like mind-boggling. Sean Payton, it was the reverse with Bill Parcells and Mike McCarthy, but DeMarcus Ware. I mean, the list, I can just name a lot of players and a lot of coaches, that Kellen Moore. I can name a lot of coaches. There you go, Keystone. Same front office, and that's where the
Yep.
Cowboys kind of. That's my point, and Keystone hit it right on the nail. The same thing, the one thing that has not changed in 30 years is the front office decision makers, and the way that they are making the decisions, and the way that they are structuring the team, doing business in the off season. All of those things is the one constant. It's the constant denominator. And so, you know, for Cowboys fans like myself, it was a big deal when Jason Garrett changed, and when they got rid of Jason Garrett after wasting a cent, what was it,
10 years.
10 years, a decade. Um, it still was remnants of Jason Garrett that we had to get through. We knew that it was going to take about 5, 6 years. We knew that. Like we got rid of Jason Garrett, but we kept the same mentality, the right kind of guys and the choir boys, and then we kept Kellen Moore, who was a spawn over that. And then even though we got rid of Kellen Moore, and I mean even though we got Mike McCarthy after a while, and we thinking it was some new philosophy, we still had Kellen Moore. So it's just like we still got the Garrett thing, still got. So this is, to me, this will be the first time, or the first season last year was that breaking point to where it's just like, okay, old regime completely out, ushering in a new regime. Mike McCarthy's last year. So this time, for me, this time is completely new. There is no Garrett remnants. There is none of that. This is completely new. This is a completely new team. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, completely new philosophy. Because when was the last time we seen them do the type of things that make the type of moves that they've made in the offseason? We ain't seen that in a long time. So,
But you do still have some remnants of the front office though, the old, way they did things with, Keystone touched on it. We still got a couple of more dominoes that you've been talking about, dominoes that should fall. You've got your dominoes you keep talking about.
yeah,
So we still have some more. And the reason those dominoes haven't fell is because we still do have the same front office. So we're not all the way there yet. And then, with McCarthy, I'm going to kind of compare McCarthy's regime to a little bit of what Parcells did. Parcells, he came in, he did make some changes. He did change the culture a little bit, kind of got him back on track.
hmm,
And of course, discovered Tony Romo. We wouldn't have no Tony Romo without Parcells. You actually saw historical, talking about Cowboys history. You and I were at the game
we
when
was
Tony Romo was put into the Giants game. It was a
against
Monday night game.
Bledsoe.
Bledsoe got benched. They inserted Romo, and that started the Romo career. And you were there. You saw the first start of
We were
that. You
there.
were you were actually at that game. So that's a historic moment that you were a part of. But
And I remember that, and people didn't even know who he was. All of the fans, people that we were sitting next to, a lot of people were just like clueless about who this guy was.
yeah, and I told you when they put Romo in that Bledsoe would never play another down.
You did. You said
And
that, and I was just kind of in my mind. I was just like, that stuck out to me. And when you
mhm.
said that, because of course you never said that about anybody else. It's almost like a funerary moment or something like that. You was like, yeah, he'll never play another down, and I was just like, that was odd to hear that. That
Mhm.
stuck out. Like, hey, this guy really
And
is
and
not
then
going to ever
they
play again.
and then they went on to really have a good year. That's the year they ended up going to Seattle and losing when he dropped the extra point or the
Yeah,
field goal. But
I might have had
but
I might have had a heart attack that night or something. That night. That
but
was crazy.
but so this Cowboy front office, Keystone is still there. They're still kind of doing some of their old dirty work. They need to bring in a couple more players, specifically the one tech in the corner. I think running back, you're not there yet, but we still got a few things with this front office that they're showing their old, the leopard doesn't change its stripes. So we got a few dominoes left, but look, this is probably when we start training camp, it's gonna be an exciting time. We got something new, something fresh. And what we're gonna talk about here now when you play this video, the thing that people are most excited about is our offensive line coach, Connor Riley, and our offensive coordinator, Clayton Adams, and what they're going to be doing with the offensive line. And then as that relates to Duke Manyweather. Yeah, I'm going to go click the air while you start that, or you
Yeah,
kind of
because
ad lib there.
I got something to say about the running back. So you might want I don't
I'm
want
just
you to
going to
miss.
put my camera on pause. Hold on one sec
All
while
right.
you kind of talk.
All right. So here's my thing with the running backs. I don't think that I don't think that he said, and Keystone said I never liked Romo ever since. That's funny. So look, my thing with running back is like this. Was Was Bucky Irvin coveted out of college coming in like he was gonna be like a number one running back or something? Because I don't think he was. He was like a fourth round pick, if I'm not mistaken. It's a lot of other running backs that are just not first round picks, and they come in the league and they do just well. I mean, what's the guy from Seattle that I wanted to get?
I can't remember his name from USC,
Yeah, from you. No, from UCLA.
UCLA. Yeah.
So it's a lot of guys that come into the league that they running backs and then they don't, they just pop up out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Like my guy from it's a couple of guys from Seattle that did that. What's his name? He wasn't no star coming out of college. Let me look up these guys' names. But my whole point is we don't know where we're at with running backs yet. And my thing is like this, like I said, we haven't seen that this regime is going to go into the season or stand pat with if they don't feel comfortable about a situation. We haven't seen that. I mean, every situation that they have had so far, they've addressed it. So I feel like if they get to training camp and they figure out that Jaden Blue and Mafa and all these other guys that we got, Javion or whatever his name is, if they figure out that these guys is not ready to be a starting roles, then they're gonna go get someone. I just don't feel like they're just not going. Zach Charbonnet, exactly.
Yeah.
Zach Charbonnet.
Mm-hmm.
You mean to tell me that Zach Charbonnet will be the starter on this team? We don't know that Jaden Blue is not better than Zach Charbonnet. We don't know that. He might be better than Zach Charbonnet, and Zach Charbonnet is a starting running back in the league. How do we know that Jaden Blue is not better than Zach
So
Charbonnet?
overall, you just have. So we talk about the. What's up, B Bird? Appreciate you joining.
What's up, B
And
Bird?
so we talk about the Shanahan offense, how they just the running backs. You can just change the name, and that scheme just run guys open. So you just believe that Clayton Adams and Connor Riley they gonna put together a scheme that's gonna just create running lanes for our
Again,
backs, and they're gonna be okay.
let me piggyback off of that again. 49ers running backs. We don't even know their names. But when Christian McCaffrey went down, these 49ers running backs were looking like first round draft picks. They were just running all over the place. And is this because they're talented or is this because of the scheme? I think it's a
Mm.
little bit of both. But what I'm saying is if you put Rico in the 49ers scheme, he has more than 1,000 yards. It just depends on what scheme you in. The running backs have lanes that they can go through.
Yeah.
And running back, I mean, you get the ball, they hand it to you, and you run as fast as you can. I mean, it's really not that complicated. Now, so it's just like, that's why a lot of players they be coming out, they be slot players in college, or they be receivers, but then they get to the NFL and they running backs because they can just, they are. It's an
So
easier position.
you just have a lot of confidence in Connor Riley and Clayton Adams.
And in Shoddy, the fact that they're gonna say, "You listen, guys, the running back room ain't working. We gotta address that." And so Ken said, "Fellas, we have 33 million in cap space that the league requires us to spend. Do you think the front office is planning something big during training camp?" I will say this: 33. You gotta remember, we got 33 million in cap space. That's gonna change when Micah gets signed. That's gonna change if they sign Bland. That's gonna change if they sign. Well, it's gonna add more. It's just gonna change if they sign Tyler Smith.
Yeah,
Uh,
we're gonna have more space.
we're gonna have more space. But do I think they plan on doing something big? I don't necessarily think they plan on doing something big, but I think they plan on doing a few things: the one tech, a cornerback, and if need be, a running back. And with the cap space, they can do something big. That's the point. But they got a lot of players that they gotta pay next year too. So
Yeah, and they might try to roll some of that cap over. There's a lot of talk about that, but on the making a big splash, we just gotta determine who that player is. I haven't heard a lot of content creators. They haven't given a name. I don't know who it could be. Now we've heard a lot of discussion about one text and who the one tech could be, but I haven't heard a lot of discussion among content creators. Keystone, Bieber might know, but I just haven't heard content creators just define who that splash will be if we did trade for running back. Now, um, James Cook, Buffalo,
no.
it has been discussed a little bit. You don't like him, I do. Um, I think he would be an instant starter for us, and in this offensive line that you're hoping that's going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
He would be a good back in that with us with that type of physical line. So look, we gotta figure out exactly who's out
What
there now.
about
Once
what about Kareem Hunt? Where is he? What's he got going on?
I don't think Kareem Hunt is. I'm going back to you now. I don't know if Kareem Hunt is better than the guys that we have.
What about Nick Chubb? What he got going on?
I would have been okay with them bringing in Nick Chubb. I wasn't. He's not somebody that I was just overly excited about, and that's also been a discussion among content creators. There's some that like him, and some were like, I know that big time show. He wasn't that high on him,
Yeah,
and so
signed
I
Houston.
was kind of either way.
He went to
Um,
Houston. So coupling Nick Chubb and Joe Mixon, that's oof, man.
no, Joe Mixon is he's with the Houston. You can't
That's
get
what I
him
said. That's why I
a
said
trade for him.
no. I said coupling Joe Mixon and Nick Chubb
Oh yeah,
together. That's
yeah.
pretty dangerous, I would think, if it works out for Chubb.
Yeah.
But
But I
you know,
like going Ken. I like Cook. Uh, Jules, I tell you what, over here is not that high on him. Um,
well, I mean, I'm just not that high on him because I watched him on fantasy last year.
was he one of your backs?
I just watched him very closely because I was just, I might wanted to pick him up, but he never produced really, and he started to toward the end of
Mm.
the year because I think somebody got hurt uh for wherever he played, and he just really wasn't producing like he had in previous years.
But I think he would be a starter for us, and I think he would be an upgrade. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, no, they do, but I mean, we got to see how Miles. I mean, not Miles, but we got to see
Miles.
how Javonte Williams looks and these other two guys because those are the guys that probably gonna be that's gonna probably make the team and be the running backs. Uh, Now the running back by committee, that's what it's looking like it's gonna be, but like I said, I think that if they are not satisfied with this running back by committee situation, that they will definitely address it, and they have the money to do so. They might even be trading somebody to get a running back. I think that that's possible because they got a lot of spillage and overage on the roster. It's a lot of players that they good, but they not gonna be seeing snaps because they have veterans in front of them that they not better than. So
Keystone likes Maffa. You like Maffa as well.
I think they're a perfect 1-2 punch combination. Jaden Blue and Phil Maffa. I just don't. I feel like my confidence is high on them.
Keystone, I'm not as high on them. Now we said on our last show, I like Blue. We did when we did our mock drafts. We took Blue in every mock draft for the most part. We took him in the fifth or sixth round, but we took other backs in the second and third round to go along with Blue. So that's
Hmm.
kind of what happened there.
So like all we got to do is to make our situation come to fruition is get another back,
Yeah.
trade for one, or I don't think it's one in free agency. I haven't seen any. I've been looking for a while. Wow.
Now, another name we got to look up, and all of these names are kind of we're not the Jets running back. His name escapes me at the
Brees
moment as
Hall.
well. Brees Hall. He would be a trade option, but again, is he better than the guys that we have? Because
Yeah,
he's coming off significant injuries too.
yeah, he is, but prior to his pre-injury, yeah, no doubt, he
Well,
definitely better.
yeah.
He was leading running back the year before that.
So he's another Javonte Williams guy. He was a good back, but he had a pretty significant injury. So, but
Yeah, like Nick Chubb.
yeah, so yeah, we just gotta start scouting some of these other teams and just start looking at some of these backs. And as I said on our last show, me being a third generation Cowboy fan, I've never had a Cowboy team that was good. Just think about every team we've had, even during your, fandom. We've always had a star back. We've always had a really good back, whether it's, DeMarco Murray, Zeke. We had Marion Barber. I'm naming all of the guys that you watched growing up. And then of course in my day we had, Dorsett, Emmitt Smith. So we've always had great running backs. It's kind of a tradition with the Cowboys that we just have, that great back. And it's some backs in the last couple of drafts that we could have taken that they would not have been, of course, your Emmitt Smith or Tony Dorsett, but they were as good as Marion Barber and probably DeMarco Murray, and we just didn't draft them.
Yeah.
We had a chance to.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about and why they wasn't. I don't know. That's just kind of like how they do the remnants we talk about, where they just ignore a position. They
Yeah.
did it. They did it as safety for a lot of years. Then they did it with linebacker for all them years, and then they got Micah, who was a linebacker, and then put him at edge, and then so now they doing the same thing with running back. But my my my,
So,
my pushback on that is
mhm.
that I can't think of a season just in general, whether it's a good or bad season. I can't think of a season where we just had bad running back play. I can't think of any.
Well, so people would say last year,
It wasn't bad last year. Rico got over 1,000 yards and he didn't even play every year. I mean,
but
he
he
didn't
get
play
he,
every game.
but Rico played well after they decided to play him.
Right, but my point is we didn't have bad running back play because Rico played good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
If Rico was here now, will we be complaining?
If Rico was here now, would we be complaining? I
Correct.
wouldn't be complaining, but I would still want another back. I wouldn't
Well,
want Rico as the feature back.
well, it would be Rico and Jaden Blue.
That's better than what we have, but I would
Right.
still want another guy. I would. I still would have drafted another back. So
I
Keystone,
would
we
have
had
drafted
running back
Caleb
committee for
Williams.
4 years straight.
I
He's talking
would
about
have
was it? Yeah,
yeah, I would have drafted Caleb. Is it
yeah.
Caleb Johnson?
We should have took Caleb Johnson. We also had a chance to draft Devin Neal and Damian Martinez. They were
Right.
right there.
I would have took one of them. And then they took that fifth round pick. That was crazy.
Yeah. So for the people that didn't see our last show, so last Saturday we did a camp for with Colin Simmons, who's our cousin. He's the edge for
Oh yeah, I want to show y'all. You can keep talking. I'm gonna, but why I mean to interrupt? I'm gonna show a couple videos that I took of Micah. While I was standing, me and Micah was chopping it up, but I took a couple videos on the slide.
so
Go ahead.
last Saturday, so we were at the special needs camp in Duncanville with our cousin Colin Simmons, who
Them things 180
plays for
pounds.
Texas. Ooh, that's really loud. Who plays for Texas, and so he had his first camp last Saturday at Duncanville High School, and we were there. So we saw Micah. He looks terrific. He looks like he's just the greatest shape he's ever been in, and it was a great day for the special needs kids. And so Michael came through, and then Colin, as we discussed, he was great with the kids. And again, shout out to his mom Monica, who they put the camp on. And so we were there at Saturday with Colin at his camp, and my grandson was one of the people at the camp. Had a great time. But Michael came through, and as we said, Michael just came right in, started mingling, and you couldn't tell he was a celebrity or whatever the case may be. He was just a regular person, just walking around, chatting it up with people. And as you saw the story about the dog, you saw that as it was happening. And
Yeah. No.
so
So the story about the dog. So this guy at the camp just gave Micah that dog that I was just showing. So he just gave Micah that dog, and he gave Micah the dog with the papers and everything. So that's what we was talking about when Micah was over there. We was talking about uh the dogs and what kind of dogs Micah already has and what kind of dogs he wants. And
so yeah. So B Bird, you hear this phrase when training camp starts, they always say, "Boy, he's in the best shape of his career." That's just so cliche, and it's so we're tired of hearing it. Micah is in the best shape of his career.
he looked like Iron Man.
Yeah. So he's ready to go. So we saw it firsthand. But back to our discussion about the O line, we were talking about that.
What about Alvin Kamara?
Alvin Kamara is a guy that I would definitely be interested in, and
He leads the league every year in fantasy points.
yeah, he's somebody that I would definitely pick up the phone and kick the tires on for sure.
Yeah, we
So
should have got
that is a name.
that's a name. We should have got that guy from Miami. But he got signed.
He did.
Yeah.
Who did he get signed with?
I forget. I don't even know his name right now.
But he's a guy that, again, he's just kind of like some of the guys that we got. I mean, I hear you.
Yeah.
So,
let me see. Travis Etienne. That's the name.
I don't like ATN. Never liked him.
Yeah. I feel you.
But no, B Bird, Colin, he is the real deal. So Colin is my uncle's grandson. So we are really proud of him as our family. We're excited about what he's doing, and not just what he's doing, with obviously on the field, but it's off the field. He's everything you want him to be.
You
Just
say he's your uncle's grandson. You can just say he's your first cousin's son.
my first cousin son. I can say that too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can say that. But yeah. So he's a great kid, and he's got man, he's gonna do some great things, and so we think he's gonna have a great year, and we're gonna cover UT. This year as well. So we're gonna be talking about that, and we're gonna have his mom on our show, uh, probably sometime in July before the season starts.
I want to hop on what can kill it and Cam because he has the best running back friend. I want to hop on what B Bird said. Um, Javante being 2 years removed from his injury should be much improved, and this is why I'm saying there's no need to panic because if he comes through and he looks like 2 years removed from his injury and he's much improved, they won't be adding another running back
Yeah.
because so in fantasy it's like this: you have your two workhorse running backs, right? And you hope those guys get a touchdown or two per game or whatever. But then you also have like your flex running back or your flex players that what I'm saying, like they're like second tier running backs, and it's always it's always a handful of them. It's always, and they be available all throughout the season because like when some people be on the bye, you just grab those guys real quick, sub them in, and then when your guy comes back off the bye, you just release them off your team. You know what I'm saying? And they go back into the pool because nobody drafted them during the year. Javante Williams is one of those guys. You
Mhm.
know, Singletary is one of those guys. Uh, Cook, uh, James Cook. I mean, he's one of those guys. And so often these guys they end up starting for a team. So, like for instance, when Brees Hall got hurt, whoever was the Jets running back, that's like a actual it's like a not a theme, but it's like a what do you call it? It's like a you pay attention to that. If a running back gets hurt in during the season, you go find who their backup running back is and you sign them because now they're going to be pushed into a starting role no matter what. So somebody that wasn't good that somebody that wasn't good that wasn't drafted is going to now be a prime time player. So, those guys like from the Bengals, those guys were that, like Devin Single, I mean like Javante Williams, he was that. You know what I'm saying? He was that for me. Somebody on the Broncos got hurt and he was pushed into the starting role and he started getting a lot of yards. He started
And you
getting a lot
had
of
and you had Javante Williams on your fantasy.
I did. You know what I'm saying? So to be fair, I'm from Houston area, but I respect those Duncanville, DeSoto, City Hill players. I keep up with Durham and LSU. I
Mm,
keep up with Durham there.
yeah,
Yeah. So we got our Houston rivalries, but we
yeah.
keep
Most
up
of
with
our
them.
family is lives in Houston
What's
on
the
my
team?
dad's side, B Bird.
What's our school down there that all of our family members go to?
Yates and
Yeah.
so Yates, Worthy.
Yeah. So a lot of my friends from college, they went to Yates. And so that's kind of like the big school. It's kind of like Carter up here. So
That's where Aunt Kim went. Yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah, now Cedar Hill, Duncanville, DeSoto, they all are right there. So it's like they all are the same community kind of deal. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind
Yeah,
of like
and yeah, we
so
lived in Cedar Hill and DeSoto, B
right,
Bird.
correct. And so all of those players, Texas is a huge football state anyway. Texas and
Mm.
California, but those Duncanville guys, Cedar Hill guys, DeSoto. Even when I was there, I went to DeSoto. That's where I graduated
So
from.
so last Saturday, B Bird, we were at Duncanville High School where Colin played.
Yeah. And just to see the other people that were at the camp that's not from Texas, they were amazed at how big the stadium was. And they was just like, they
Well,
had never
the
been in
the
the stadium like
campus,
that.
Duncanville's campus is like a college.
It's been like that. It's like miles long.
Yeah, the baseball stadium, the football stadium,
Mm-hmm.
it looks like a college. Well, like a junior college, I should say.
DeSoto do too.
DeSoto
DeSoto
does too, yeah.
is huge.
But
I'm saying
Duncanville is like it's next level.
Duncanville High School has a natatorium.
Yeah.
Well, DeSoto does too, but Duncanville has a
I didn't know
public
DeSoto had an auditorium.
They do. But it's private. You know what I mean? It's like it's not for the public. You know what I'm saying? But Duncanville's is for the public. So, as a matter of fact, when I was at DeSoto, they hollowed out the natatorium and made it into a cafeteria.
I was going to ask you. So the Duncanville coach, the legendary coach Reginald Sample, I saw him for a minute, and then he kind of disappeared. Where? He wasn't out there long. Where did he go?
He was over there talking to Aunt Ramona, and he was over there with us for like 30 minutes.
Okay, because I just saw him I just saw him for a minute, and I didn't see him again. So,
Well, he was over there for a while, sitting down, talking to Aunt Ramona. Uh, he was over there for a minute.
oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we was chopping it up with him, and he's a good guy, and you can just tell he just gives that legendary coach
So
a
the
little.
guy that you were talking to, was he a scout or something?
I don't know who he was. No, he wasn't a scout. He was just a fan.
Oh, okay.
He was just a fan. He literally was just a fan. I was asking him, what does he do? He was just like, no, I just been following Duncanville. I've been following Colin Simmons since he was here. I even came to some Colin Simmons games, and he's just one of the guys that I follow, and I'm here.
I got you. Okay.
He
So
said
Keystone.
Keystone said Maffa looks a little slow to me. He does, but at the same time, you know, he does look a little slow, but he has some highlights where he can get up out of there. But we don't need him to be fast. We just need him to be able to hold the ball and punch it in when we need him to. And you know, Jaden Blue runs a 4-3, runs a 4-2.
Yeah.
So we don't really
Well,
need Maffa to be, but they were saying that Maffa is on the brink of not making the team.
well, I think look, all of these guys. Okay, so you're gonna hear me say this a lot. So it's gonna be like a catchphrase. Ha ha, Clinton Dix. You know who that is, right?
Yeah.
Every one of these guys that we got in the running back room, they're ha ha Clinton Dix until proven otherwise. And that's why preseason is gonna be fun. I'm normally not a preseason guy, as I've mentioned on this show before. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, preseason games are on, and I'm at Home Depot or Walmart or wherever.
Not I.
But this year, I'm gonna be watching the preseason games, and the running
Uh,
back room is gonna be like
all
must
eyes
watch
on. I
TV.
got a question for everybody that's watching, and then for you too. So that year that we lost to, I think it was the 49ers, the second time we played them. Now it was Mike. Remember when Mike McCarthy?
The one when Paula got hurt.
Yeah. Remember when Mike McCarthy went back to Green Bay for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
and we lost that game because he stopped running Malik Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So Malik Davis was on this team last year as a practice squad member, right? But the year before that, he was like uh the backup running back. And we were trying to figure out why doesn't he get in? Because every time he get in, I just remember I keep saying, man, this guy right here got some pop. So my question is, why wasn't Malik Davis, why was he outcast last year when he was better than Zeke, when he was, better than or right on the same tier with Rico? And then why is nobody talking about him now? Like he's just not a good running back, or like he's not capable of starting in the NFL when he did this, and we seen that he was good at this. It's not like he's never just been like the kind of back that's just like he just can't get it done. I feel like every time he get in, when he was getting in, it was just like, why are we not seeing more of Malik Davis and he's getting 6 yards of carry? Mike McCarthy stopped giving him the ball and we lost the game, and then it's just like, okay, well, where's Malik
And
Davis?
I just think sometimes in the NFL, you just don't have a coach that believe in you. We call it sponsors. He just didn't have a sponsor that really believed in him. I mean, you could say the same thing about Izzy. Izzy, he played in the playoff game against Tampa. He played lights out. That's the last time we really saw him. He
But the
just
difference is Izzy is on this team, and Izzy is going to probably have a position to play, a role to play this year. Malik
well,
Davis, it's like should be his calling card, I would think.
well, yeah, but Izzy's getting ready to probably play more than ever. But up until this point, they didn't really do anything with Izzy. So yeah, I mean, it's just that's kind of what happens in the league. I don't even think is he on the team, Malik
I don't,
Davis?
I don't even know.
Yeah, you need to look that up. But no, he just never had somebody that believed in him. He never had a sponsor. And from what we're hearing after the fact, the cornerback coach didn't like Izzy, uh,
Yeah.
your guy,
Al Harris.
Al Harris. So sometimes that's just kind of how it happens in the league. You got to have somebody that believes in you. You got to have a sponsor. So
I want to
he
know
didn't
where
have that.
Rashad. Well, I know Rashad White is still with Tampa. But see, that's how Bucky Irving got thrust into the mix because see, Rashad White was hurt. He was a starting running back, and then all of a sudden, the fourth round pick Bucky Irving is leading the charge.
Now, during that draft, going up until that draft, there were a lot of people when they were doing mock drafts. Bucky Irving was a well known name. I remember Bucky Irving in that draft when people were doing mock drafts.
Hmm.
He was a guy.
He was, but
Uh,
he got picked in the fourth round.
yeah, but that's that's good. That's good for the NFL. I mean, we and there were some people that were doing content creating for the Cowboys. They wanted us to draft Bucky Irving. So
We wanted
again,
to draft him, but what about Brian? And then also Jordan Mason is a 49ers running back we was talking about that got signed by somebody else. He ended up. Well, I want to know what David Montgomery is doing.
so he had the injury and he came back, and this is for the Lions, right?
Hmm.
So I think he's still with Detroit. I think but he's coming off a major injury as well. So, but yeah, that's kind of what's happening there. So, but the Duke Manyweather interview with the fan this morning. So he was talking about Julian says hello,
Jules,
Velma House.
that's Mama V.
Oh,
Jules
okay.
says hello.
He's watching the show.
Yeah, you watch
Okay.
the show.
So hello to Jules and Mama V. Um, but so Duke just doing a recap on what he's been doing with the Cowboys offensive line group.
Yeah.
So he's reconnected with them. He's connecting with the Cowboy coaches, Connor Riley and Clayton Adams. So he has some really good things to say about uh, all of the linemen. And so we're looking for better line play. He talked about how they were just out of sync the last couple of years because the offensive line coach just had them doing things that they were not comfortable with, and it just kind of, if you just want to be honest, they were really not getting just that the coaching that they needed to improve, and it
You know,
showed.
and this is it's a reason why we are so excited about this offensive line this year, and that's because this is a reoccurring theme with the Cowboys. It's always, what was the guy that we didn't like for all those years that was like 85 years old coaching the line?
Well, you had Mike Solari, and then you had
Is that his name, Mike Solari? Is that the guy that we was like,
well, that's
nah?
the last guy that we had, and before that, it was Mike McCarthy's O line coach, and his name escapes me at the moment.
But
So
he was the one that was like very old.
no, Solari was the old guy.
So it's just like, these offensive line, like you said, like I said, the older I get, the more I realize how impactful coaching is. If you don't have a good offensive line coach, you're doomed. And so you had basically last year, you had these guys, they were just basically out there on their own. You seen they were not in sync. You had Terrence Steele coming off of an injury. You had Zach Martin injured both of his legs, and he was about to get ready to retire, and he knew that. And then you had Cooper Beebe, who was coming in playing a new position, but he still did great. And then you had Tyler Smith, who was an all pro. He does his thing. You know what I mean? And then you had Tyron Smith, who just left the team. And then you had Tyler Guyton, who never played left tackle in his career and only played right tackle for one season. And from what I gather, it was like half a season. So that is not a recipe for success at all. And so if you have these guys come back next year and they can play with any kind of what was the word that you just used? Is it they said that they did not have any kind of together
The coaching was
continuity.
continuity, and
So
the coaching just wasn't together. Yeah.
so if they got they got a great offensive line coach now, and they coming off a season where they've been together all off season, and they've been with Duke, and they've been working all together, you're gonna see a totally different offensive line this year, I believe. So let's get into the Duke interview, and I haven't heard this interview, so you can kind of tell me when to stop, based off of what you want to comment on. So let me see. Uh, let's see. All right.
You hear so much about it is Duke Manyweather. Duke, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. Now, first off, I just want to know, everybody has seen this OL Masterminds and some of the clips that come out of it. Every year there's viral content from it, and everyone sees, like, this is the collection where offensive linemen get better. Can you just talk about the
And
purpose of
you
the
can actually
event,
fast
what you
forward
guys
just
have
a
coming
little
up here
bit,
soon, and
if
how
you can.
And earning the collaboration. We just did it on Saturday mornings. Terrence Steele, a lot of guys coming.
Okay, just play it right there.
A ton of the Cowboys will be there. Tyler Smith, Tyler Booker, Guyton, Terrence Steele, a lot of the backups that are fighting for, their place on the roster are going to be there. But then we've got Joe Thomas, we've got Tristan Wirfs, we've got Lane, of course. Every year,
Fast forward just a little bit.
we just try to make it the largest
kind of word of mouth and guys talking to each other and before it came together. Tyler Guyton, I know when he was drafted, he talked about how that was the how he first became familiar with you, even before he came into the league, was that he had gone to OL Masterminds the year before. Guyton obviously was a guy who had a little bit of a tough rookie season, but he's gotten a lot of praise for the work he's put in this offseason from new head coach Brian Schottenheimer. What is your outlook for Guyton moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you this. I think it's really funny. There was this whole thing on Twitter this off season about how me and Guyton had some type of beef and moved on. It was weird. Me and Guyton would send each other the tweets all the time and just kind of laugh at it. But he's doing really well, man. He's doing really well. As I said early in the off season, he had a lot to figure out, and it was going to be up to him to figure that out if he wanted to make a next jump. And we're still there. And I think he is figuring it out. Highly competitive, really doing things with intent and deliberateness. I expect for him to take a jump, man. As I said last year, I thought that him and Cooper Beebe were going to be fine, man. I thought that those guys are going to be really good, and I still feel like that. And you got to understand that development is not linear. And there's going to be a new coaching staff. I like what Connor Riley's doing, and then Coach Chen as well. We met a couple of weeks ago for about an hour and a half. Just got on the same page with everybody in that room that I'll be working with, which is most of them, almost all of them. And really my whole goal for not only Tyler Guyton or Tyler Booker or Tyler Smith or Terrence or any of those guys, Cooper, is just to help make them be the most efficient, effective, and consistent player that they can be within their skill set. And that's really what it's all about, man. What I try to do is identify what makes each individual special and, help them develop a skill set around those special qualities what make them unique. Because I think if you can really focus and hone in on that, it allows the guys to have a skill set that they can replicate down in and down out, day in and day out. And I think that's really what it's all about, man. I'm excited, for this season. I think that not just with the Cowboys, but, other guys that I work with, we really added some new tools to their toolbox. I'm excited to see, and the guys really have gravitated towards, spicing up certain aspects of their game that, hey, I'm really good at this. What if I did this off of it? And I think that's going to be a really cool thing to see the maturation this season of some of these players.
You stop it right there.
From OL Masterminds joining us here on Sean and RJ on.
So what he did say at the beginning of the interview is that he met with the Cowboy coaches, so Clayton Adams and Connor Riley. He met with them for he said an hour and a half, where they just kind of talked about the plan for the players and what they're going to be doing. So, he's in alignment with the coaches. He wasn't in alignment with Mike Solari, and it really impacted the season and the players. So I think, based on what he said and him working with the Cowboy coaches, he also mentioned that a lot of people call this the dead period, where players are not doing much. They're traveling. You see Dak doing his thing with the guys. Well, he said some of the Cowboys linemen, they've been over at his facility working on their game. So, but I think you're going to see, some results with them working with him. and being in alignment with the other coaches. So, you got this theory. One of your dominoes is that our running game, our offensive line is just going to be good enough to where our running backs are just going to be able to be productive. So that's your domino. So we're going to see if that domino falls. But if Duke Manyweather has anything to do with it, they're gonna be way better than they were last year.
And I'm just gonna say this. This is my thought process. So was our offensive line bad last year? I would argue and say yes, they were. Now my thing is Terrence still an above average tackle when he's playing healthy? He
I,
is.
I think he is. Yeah,
He is. Is Cooper Beebe an above average center when he's
he's
playing
going
healthy?
to be. Yeah,
For sure. Well, he was this year. He's ranked number 15.
yeah,
So
yeah.
is Tyler Smith a all pro?
Yep,
He is. Uh is Tyler Booker, does he look like he gonna be great in the NFL?
yep.
Was
He
he
will
was,
be.
was he good in college?
Yeah.
Okay. So the only weak spot that we can point out is Tyler Guyton. And a lot of focus has went into that this offseason. A lot. A lot of focus has went into Tyler Guyton becoming that a better tackle.
Yeah.
And with him
He's the
being
key.
he's the key. And with the focus being on him, uh I feel like he's one of those guys, like I said, sometimes when you back up against the wall, knowing how his dad is in his corner and how everybody else is in his corner, knowing how he's tagged along with Tyler Smith, I think he's gonna be good. Definitely still is above average run blocker.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went down the line, basically right now, what I was just saying was it's not going to be a miracle if our offensive line is playing better. It's not going to be a miracle if our offensive line is a top 10 offensive line or even a top 5 offensive line. It's not going to be outlandish. So with our running back, and if Terrence Steele is an above average run blocker, Cooper Beebe is an above average run blocker, and so is Tyler Smith. We don't know, the jury is still out on Tyler Booker and Tyler Guyton. But with those three alone right there, if you got somebody with the type of speed that Jaden Blue has out the backfield, and you got the type of person that can catch like and get moving like Jaden Blue and like Turpin, and you got those kind of players that can catch the ball in and coverage like or wider covered like what's the name we just signed? I think our offensive line,
Pickens.
yeah, I think our offensive line is gonna I think they're gonna blossom. I think they're gonna do well, and I think our running backs is gonna be good. I think that
Yeah.
Javonte Williams coming off of a 2 year. Now I'm being optimistic, you know, but at the same time, like I said, I'm optimistic, but I do have a fail safe. I feel like if they feel that it's not gonna be good, yeah, Guyton is the only one
Mm-hmm.
below average. So if Guyton plays average, then we good. So if Guyton plays average, then we good. And also, like I said, I feel like if they go into the season or if they get out of training camp and they say, guys, this running back room is not going to work, then they're going to go get somebody.
Yeah. That's the domino. Today, Brian Brothers, he said that he expects Awesome Richards to compete with Guyton.
I do too. I don't think he's gonna win a job, but I think that he's gonna be the swing tackle.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's gonna win. And and that's another thing. If Awesome Richards beat Tyler Guyton out, that's just what's gonna happen. He
Mm-hmm.
would just be playing tackle because he beat Tyler Guyton out. And Javonte Williams won't play 7 games. Well, probably not. I mean, he came off an injury like that. I'm with you, Keystone. He probably ain't gonna play 17 games. I doubt it. It's a lot of players that's not gonna play 17 games. But
Um,
you know, you got to
yeah, Guyton is the key.
Guyton is
So,
the key. He's the key.
and I think Guyton needs to play a lot of preseason.
I think he needs to play a lot of preseason. That's one domino that we need to watch. I want to see if
So
that
who's
domino.
the we need to research who's the right defensive end for the Eagles. Who's Guyton gonna be going up against when we play the Eagles? Because I can't even tell you who their edge players are. Richards versus Guyton, son versus son.
Oh, so his dad is a son versus son. What you mean by that, Keystone? Let's see. Who's the right tackle?
Right edge. So who is Tyler Guyton going up against in this Eagles game? They're edge players. I mean, we know who some of the major edge players are in the league. I don't know who their edges are.
Yeah, I mean,
I know they got the Georgia product. Is it Nolan Smith? He kind of came on at the end of the year.
right defensive end. What? Jalen Carter is not a defensive end.
So while you're looking at that, I agree with B Bird. I want Dak to play the way Romo did in 2014, and to take it a step further, I want Dak to play the way Elway did his last 2 years with Terrell Davis and Shannon Sharp, that cast of characters that he had, and that's what I'm looking for Dak. I think when we start asking Dak to throw the ball 30 times and be the focus of the offense, that's not really a good formula to me for us. We need to be able to run the football and do some other things. So I agree 100% with B Bird on that. And I've been this Dak thing with people on Twitter. It's so toxic. There used to be, like, and B Bird can appreciate this. They used to say you don't discuss politics and religion. Well, you can add Dak into that equation too, because people just get way overboard with this Dak thing. And then I'm an old school Cowboy fan. I remember Danny White went to 3 straight NFC Championship games, and he had to deal with this thing. Matter of fact, so I ain't even told you this story. So in the '90s, before the Cowboys started winning, I was working at FedEx at the RBD station in Dallas on Commerce downtown, down the street from where your sister lives right now. So on the sort, there was this guy, and we used to go at it on the sort about these teams. There was this guy, it's kind of a smart aleck guy, and he would just say every day on the sort, Troy Aikman is never going to win a Super Bowl. He would just tell me that, like, Troy just ain't it. Troy ain't a good quarterback. He said, Troy, golden boy, you never going to win a Super Bowl with Troy. So of course, about a year or two later, we won 2 in a row. And then we won a third one. And this same guy, of course, he didn't have anything to say then. So I said I'd like to say this. Dak is going to go through that until he wins one. And there ain't nothing you can do about it. So it's not even really worth arguing about.
It's not. It's just like
and Matthew Stafford had to deal with that. Actually, Peyton Manning went through it.
He did. Lamar Jackson is going through it.
Peyton Manning, they could never beat the Patriots.
Right.
Until he did.
Oh, right. And got with the, another team. But
well, no, he won it in Indianapolis.
Oh,
they just built a better team around him.
What am I thinking about with the Broncos then? What am I thinking about?
That was his last one that he really didn't have much to do with the win. But his first one, the one he won with Indy, that was, the team got better and they finally beat New England. So, that's just part of the thing. Dak just gonna have to deal with that, and it is what it is. You can't do nothing about it. And somebody said this today, I forget who I was listening to. Even when Dak win one, it's still not gonna end.
Nah. And it's you a Dallas Cowboys quarterback. So it ain't in it. But my thing, that's why, since you've been saying that, since everybody been saying that, you said, but Josh Allen don't go through it. What do you mean, Keystone?
He's saying that Josh Allen doesn't get the criticism that.
Oh no.
But give him time. Give him time, because if he don't win, if Josh Allen doesn't break through this year and he comes back the next year, he's gonna go through it. It's gonna happen.
What about Lamar Jackson?
He's going through it now.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So, but this is why my whole thing, the reason Dak's not winning is because the front office hasn't. I mean,
exactly.
B-Bird be just taking the word. I mean, me, you and B-Bird, we got the same reign when
and they haven't, and they still haven't.
B-Bird, that's why my whole thing has been, this whole little offseason has been, the 30-year drought is not because of Dak, and it's not because of Romo. It's not because of those things.
So we're gonna do our 30-year drought thing, and we're gonna have B Bird on for that if he's available. I'm gonna
Sure.
reach out to him. But to piggyback on B Bird's point, we had a really good offseason. I think we've done some things that you know has everybody hopeful, but they still haven't gone all in.
To help
So
Dak.
yeah, so they still got a couple of more moves to make. So that we ain't there yet.
But see,
We farther along than we've been before.
and that's what
It-
gives me hope because like did they help Dak did they help Dak this offseason? They did. They
yeah,
got they
the Pickens thing was tremendous.
and they got Tyler Booker, who was a good guard in college.
Yeah,
So
so we got some things that's going look. All Dak has to do, first of all, Dak just needs to play 17 games. That's really where you start. If Dak plays 17 games, we're gonna be right there. If Dak had played 17 games last year,
oh yeah.
I believe we would have made it to the NFC Championship game. Now, of course, we had a whole bunch of other people hurt, but yeah, it's if Dak plays 17 games, uh, with what we have right now, we're good enough to beat the Commanders
And the Eagles.
and the Eagles. I don't think we there yet with the Eagles. I think by the end of the season we're gonna be there. But
Well, I'll just go back to a couple years ago to the year before last when we played them when we were that was about as equal as we were gonna be. They
yeah,
beat us the first time when Dak didn't play, and I mean when Dak played and Jalen Hurts didn't play. Then the next time, it's just like we are Dak is good. It's just that when you're in the playoffs, and like I said, this is not a Dak thing. When you're in the playoffs and you don't have a Tom Brady or you don't have a guy that really don't make a lot of mistakes like Patrick Mahomes, there is nothing saying that you cannot win. You can win. You just have to have your team. Your team has to be your front office would have had to do something to put you in position to where if your quarterback doesn't has a deer in the headlights moment that you have something else that can still take you over the
yeah,
top.
you gotta have a defense that just keeps him in the game.
Exactly, Bieber, and i.e. Saquon. I mean, do is Jalen Hurts better than Dak? A lot of people gonna say yeah, because he got a Super Bowl. He's not. And then on top of that, it's just like the reason why the Eagles was put over the hump last year is just like you said, and just like Bieber said, it's just like because they had a great defense, they had a great offensive and defensive line, they had one of the best, they had the best running back in the league. And so Jalen Hurts didn't have to do a lot.
Well, see, stop right there. Just to piggyback on your point, not to cut you off. They had a complete team. They didn't have questions at cornerback. They didn't have questions at one tech. So they had a complete team. For us to catch them, to be competitive with them, we have to get the one tech thing addressed. We actually need two one techs. I believe we need a starter at one tech, and our one tech starter is not on this team. Mozzie, in my view, is not a starting every down one tech. We need somebody that can start in front of him and allow Mozzie to just continue to develop.
Mm-hmm.
And Mozzie is going to be a better player for us if he has somebody, there
That,
with him
yeah, that could be in front of him.
in front of.
Keystone, my whole thing has been I ask everybody, why wasn't the 49ers good last year? And everybody always say, oh man, they was injured. They was injured. Like, man, they was injured. And I'll be like, so why wasn't the Cowboys good last year? Oh, and it's all now they
Well,
talk about coaching and Dak and all
well,
some of that.
obviously the difference in between us and the 49ers, that we were injured too, but the difference between us and the 49ers is, they've been in Super Bowl recently. We haven't, so we gonna get more of that criticism than they do. But yeah, our team last year, the guys that we had hurt, if they had been healthy, I'm telling you, we would have been an NFC Championship game.
I believe that.
You can't tell me if we had a healthy Dak, a healthy Micah, a healthy Diggs, a healthy Bland, Tank. Who else am I missing? If they had to play 17 games,
Ferguson.
Ferguson got banged up. We right there. You
CD
can't
broke
tell
his
me.
CD almost broke his shoulder.
Who?
CD almost broke his shoulder. Remember, he was playing like he was playing. Like they was
Yeah.
telling him like you don't need to play, and he was playing
And then
anyway.
Overshawn. Everybody that
Oh,
I
goodness
named, if they
gracious.
had played 17 games, we're in the NFC Championship game, not the Commanders.
I agree. You just got to put it together. You got to put it together. You have to have a complete team and a complete season, and that starts from the top. That starts from your GM. That starts from your ownership, specifically Steven, Jerry
Now,
Jones, and Will McClay.
now I think my gut feeling on this season, I think we're going to be a second half team. I think we're going to be a team that the second half of the season, I think we're going to be the team to watch. That's what I predict.
I mean, that's logical because you got a lot of people that's coming back on, about six
Yeah.
game or so, and then you got a lot of people that's coming off an injury that
Yep.
towards the end of the year they're gonna be better. You
Yep.
got players I'm really excited about my guy. What was the cornerback name that got hurt? Butler, and I think he gonna be somebody to watch. Last year he was doing great, and then he got hurt, and so
So
you know
yeah, so Butler kind of got hurt kind of toward the end of the year. So that
got hurt
he
at the
he would
very end of
definitely he would
that.
be a second half guy. But I think so Ravel, Diggs, they're going to be the guys that are going to be better the second half of the season.
Overshawn.
Overshawn, I think, man, Overshawn again, he kind of got hurt kind of late in the year. I'm really concerned about Overshawn trying to come back too early, but we're gonna kind of see how that plays out.
Who else
But
was
yeah,
it that was talking about coming back kind of early? That we was it Trayvon?
yeah, we talked about Trayvon and Ravel. I think Trayvon needs to start out on pup. We saw a video today. He was covering. Did you see that?
Uh-uh.
It's a workout. It's a video with Trayvon today. He was covering a receiver, so it's the first time he's been covering somebody. And you got to take all of those videos with a grain of salt. Here's the thing about these videos: it's just people putting these videos out when they working out. Man, you don't really know. The thing you can't see in that video is what kind of pain does he have, like pre-workout and post-workout. I mean, there's a lot of people that's watching our show that had knee surgery, including me. And your knee just hurts. So you putting out a video doesn't mean nothing when you coming off a knee injury.
No. Okay, so B-Bird said I want to establish the run, then use
Yeah.
play action to throw to our two wide open receivers. Now, it's a couple key things that Keystone said right here. One of the ones that B-Bird said right here, the ones that jump out to me is our two wide open receivers. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then, and then he says you want to establish the run and then use play action. My thing is this. Diggs is my favorite player on the roster right now. Who said that? B-Bird.
B-Bird, yeah.
I think mine's Overshawn. But
You like Diggs though.
I love Diggs. You know what I'm saying? But if I had to say my favorite, it's probably Overshawn.
I was a huge fan of Diggs pre-injury.
Yeah. And CD is gonna always be my number one. But if I had
Yeah,
to
and last year, not having Diggs, man, that was a huge hit to our team.
not having Bland at the beginning of the
Not
season was a
having Bland, I mean, there's just no way in the world you can tell me, B-Bird, that if we have a healthy Diggs, a healthy Bland, a healthy Overshawn,
a healthy Dak.
a healthy Micah,
Come on.
you can't
So-
tell me that we not in the NFC Championship game.
So B-Bird said he want to establish the run and then throw to two wide open receivers. Here's my thing on that. I want to be able to do
2016.
Yeah, I want to be able to do that, but I want to be able to just do whatever against. I want to be able to. I want to have dogs that say, "Hey, if we got to run down your throat, we can do that. If we got to pass it, we can do that. If we got to stop you, we can do that. If we gotta stop the run, we can do that. If we gotta,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? What? Because to me, that's what the Cowboys lack all these years. It's just like they have one thing that they can do. They can get out on you fast and score. And then that's it. They can get out on you fast and score, and then just bite the time on out. But that's the only thing that they can do. It's just like some teams. I don't never see the Cowboys game plan like on this team. We're gonna have to stop the run and air raid them. But on this team, we're gonna have to stop they pass, and we're gonna have to run the ball a lot. But then on this next game, this team, they're good at this. And so we got to do that. You know what I mean? It's just like they don't have an identity. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
shout out to you, Los Altos. They don't have a
Shout
good
out.
they don't have an identity. So this year we're gonna have to figure out this is gonna be the year where we're gonna figure out what is their identity.
Well, what we're hearing is their identity is going to be running the football, and so
But
that's
we also but that's the biggest question right now on the roster.
and then based on what you're saying with Clayton Adams, Connor Riley, and you believe in the running backs, we're going to be able to do it. So I want to go back to B Bird. He's talking about 2016 B Bird shout out. So I think so. Little Cowboy history here. So a lot of people feel like our 2017 was our best chance to make it to the Super Bowl. That was a team with Romo. They went 13-3. They lost to the Giants in the
Yeah,
first round.
Giants went on to win the Super Bowl.
And a lot of people don't talk about this, but one of the things that really hurt us in that game is T.O. had hurt his ankle. If
Yeah,
T.O. is healthy, we probably, I don't think they beat us,
yeah, but
but
he also took that shot and came out like Superman.
he didn't play good in that game. You talking about T.O. with the Eagles. T.O. didn't play, when he played with us against the Giants, he didn't play well in that game.
One of them games, he came out
You,
like
you're talking about when he was with the Eagles. With us, when he got hurt, he did not have a good game. So the 2017 B Bird, and then people talk about the 2014 team was our best chance. That's the team that went to Green Bay. DeMarco Murray fumbled the Dez catch game. But I said all of that to say this, B Bird. I think the 2016 team was our best chance to win the Super Bowl. That was the team.
I think it was the team that with I think it was the team with the Dez catch.
That's 2014.
Yeah.
I like the 2016 team better. The
So
2014 team, my
mhm,
concern with that team, I don't think the defense was as good. The 2016 team had a pretty good defense as well.
mhm. So one thing I want to say about this, about the identity, Los Altos made a good point. So this is here. This is what this is right here. So when Shoddy went and got Connor Riley, and then who else did he get from K State? What's his name?
Clayton, well, Connor Riley is K-State. Clayton Adams is
Clayton
from
Adams
from
from
the
Cardinals.
Cardinals.
So the Cardinals had one of the best running games in the league last year, and that was due
Well,
to
they had
Clayton.
one of the best running games the whole time he was there.
And that's due to Clayton Adams. And then
Mm-hmm.
also K State has always had a good running game.
Mm-hmm.
So when Shotty went out and got Clayton Adams and Connor Riley, he made sure that he put an emphasis on getting guys that can run the ball and have a good offensive mind scheme, have a good run scheme. And so those two guys, like, they're gonna get rated after this year. Because what I think is gonna happen is I think they're gonna turn these mediocre running backs into good players, into great
Yeah,
stars.
that's your theory or your domino.
Yeah.
We gonna see.
Now, Eberflus Los Santos to us. Whoo, man, we got question marks about Eberflus. Hopefully, Eberflus defense challenges the offense in camp so offense can figure it out. But it never works like that. I don't think our defense. Well, I'll say it worked like that when Dan Quinn was here, but I
Mm.
think that now our offense is too good for our defense. I don't think that, especially in camp, because you got a lot of these starters that are hurt. Like if Overshawn was 100%, that's a different story. If Diggs was 100%, that's a different story. If we had our other corners figured out, that's a different story. You got Mozzie in there starting right now. So I mean,
Yeah.
no, will Mozzie be able to handle Tyler Smith and Tyler Guyton? No. Would he be
Well,
able to handle Cooper BB? No. Can our corners that we got right now, can they stop George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb? Not a chance. Can't
but
so it's
But
just not happening.
you're gonna have a competitive camp. I think it's gonna be some battles in camp, and Mozzie is gonna have to battle. So I mean, I think it's gonna be competitive. I think this is gonna probably be one of the most watched and most competitive camps that we see. Are we gonna get a lot of footage or coverage or live coverage of camp? I can't remember how they do it. It's gonna be a lot of
Uh
people out there covering it, but
yeah, we get we get that footage that they want us to see because they have the fence so high at camp
mm.
to block out the houses of people that live right there. So they
So
don't
we're
be
gonna have a
wanting everybody
lot.
to see stuff.
We're gonna have a lot of people covering the camp. So shout out to Vach. He's going to the camp this year for the first time, I believe.
A lot.
I,
Nah, Botches is probably.
he's always been out there.
I think so. Jeff gonna be out there. Law.
Landlord is going.
Oh, that's live. That's live right there. Landlord gonna be there. Law gonna be there. I'm sure. Broader's gonna be there.
Yeah.
Uh,
So we'll.
Players like Osa are saying it's easier if they come out fundamentally sound and disciplined. It will force the offense to be better. That's what we need.
Yeah.
That's what we need. And Eberflus is supposed to be a linebacker whisperer, and so that's what we need.
Well, back in the day, the league was different. That's what Jimmy's camps were like. It was just an all-out war,
Yeah.
both sides of the ball. But you could do that back then. It's a little different now, but I think the camp is going to be competitive.
And see, that's a big thing that people don't talk about with the Cowboys. It's like we don't play in the preseason, okay?
Well,
And then this practice, see, that's a big deal.
that's another domino.
When I listen to Nate Newton talk, all he talked about was how hard Jimmy practices was. They got that clip out there when Jimmy was just like, if you got asthma, that's the asthma field over there. You know what I'm saying?
That documentary is coming up. We got to talk about that because I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to watch it, but I mean, it's people are pointing out they just going back and talking about the 90s, and that's probably what's hurting this franchise the last 30 years. They just so caught up on what.
But my thing is this too, and I understand what you're saying, but it's also kind of like, how like sometimes the universe just do things, and it's just like, for instance, like the Saints, they had Katrina. All of a sudden, it's just like they win. You know what I mean? It's just like, LA built a new stadium, and it's like all of a sudden they in the Super Bowl. It's just like certain things like that happen to where it's just like, like they got a documentary out, and all of a sudden they got a new coach, and now they winning all of a sudden. It's just kind of like, it's kind of like those things kind of go together. So I mean, the documentary, it's gonna be interesting to see because we don't have any footage of that. We don't have any footage of the 90s of the 90s Cowboys. If you wasn't there to witness it yourself, you don't have any vivid memories. It's just like me. So when I watched the Jordan documentary, I remember watching those games. I remember when we was watching them play the Seattle Supersonics, but I remember it. It's in my memory. But now with the documentary, I can see it. I remember what I was doing during that game when Jordan was crying, and I was trying to figure out what was this about. Why was this? And so it just brings back so many memories.
It's gonna be really good for people like you.
Nah, for real, because I was alive and remember, but I don't remember, vividly the Cowboys Super Bowls. Like I was 5 and 6 years old, but this is gonna put those memories in my forefront. It's gonna help me remember those. So
yeah, it's gonna be good for you to watch it and good for our show. But me,
content creators gonna live off of it. I'm thinking that Bonafide One Tech wasn't as important because it will be more of a 4-3. Look at the linebacker traits. It's easier to coach when you're using talent to its strengths. Well, we're gonna see because our one tech position is our weak spot. So
yeah,
if they
the linebacker, I think the linebackers are gonna be better than people think.
oh yeah, for sure. Especially, and I think that our defensive ends are gonna be better than people think. I think
The
that
edge. Well, yeah,
I think the EZ
I
is
don't
gonna
think
be
anybody have a better edge room than we do.
Nah.
But I think the linebackers are gonna surprise people. So I think our weakness to me is one tech, and then we got a weakness right now at corner.
But that's gonna be that's gonna be solidified. That's like a weakness due to circumstance. But one tech is just a weakness that it has been a weakness, and they still haven't addressed it.
So I got a Eberflus. I'm not giving him no grace period. I got him on a 4-game watch.
Well, he gonna stop the run.
He got 4 games.
He gonna do that. He gonna stop the run.
He got 4 games to show us that he can stop the run, Keystone.
But I mean, like, like who do we have?
I'm not giving him 8 games. I'm not giving him a season. He's not getting that.
But what do we have that can stop the run? Because it's not Mozzie.
Well, it's supposed to be the coach.
How?
Well, that's what he better figure it out. And then the other thing he better do, if he see he not stopping the run, he better ask the front office to make a move. And
now, why do you think that, Keystone? I don't think that. I think safety, because you got Bell and you got Wanye and you got now Malik Hooker. Now they finna be Malik Hooker. He started off with Eberflus, and you got a healthy Donovan Wilson. So I don't know why. To me, I want Wanye and Bell. Back there. That's what I want. I think Malik Hooker is getting old. It's time for him to kind of,
I'm not I'm not a Bell guy. I think he's a box player. I do like Wanye. I like Izzy.
Wanye is out there. Wanye.
Yeah. So you know,
We got some leeway at safety, but corner and one tech.
I'm not a Hooker fan.
Nah, me
I'm
neither.
not I'm not liking Hooker the way he's played. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Now he's
no
with
Keystone.
Eagles, so
Yeah. I can see Keystone's point. I'm not actually there. I'm okay with the safeties. I want to see more Wanye. I want to see more Izzy. I do want to see Bell active. I want to see Bell play. I'm not sure that I don't think Bell is a starting.
yeah. No, I'm with you.
Bell is a more traditional strong safety type player to me. He's Bell is a bigger Donovan Wilson in my view.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think safety. I mean, I'm not excited about the safeties, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
Dono is a liability. He can't cover. No, he can't cover.
Bell
He
can
plays.
though.
He plays a lot better in the box.
Yeah, see now Dan Quinn had Dono, on the right path, but uh Zimmer unlocked Dono toward the end of the season last year. But also he was coming
Yep.
off injury, so that might have been playing. That might have had
So
something to do with it.
Donovan Wilson did play better the second half
He did. But
of the season.
For him to play better at the second in the second half, that was still a down year because we're used to him being playing on an all pro level. We would
Yeah.
always say every year it's just
But
amazing.
anytime he's downfield, he doesn't. He's a liability.
Malik Hooker almost. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
Hooker. I will watch games. Keystone. I can't even tell you that Malik Hooker is active.
But also you'll have some plays in there where he'll catch a pick and you'll be like, wow, that was kind of good.
It's not many.
Bell is a
Yeah,
rookie at safety because he has no reps. There, remember he was a linebacker.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, but that's what he do. He come down. He should be playing down in the box. So what he would be a strong safety,
but what I said about Bell
right?
is if I'm a coordinator, if I'm the defensive coordinator, I'm gonna find a role for him to play in a nickel and dime. So he's gonna play on my team.
Yeah,
He's gonna be active. He's gonna play. I'm gonna figure out a way to play Izzy. Um,
slot.
I'm gonna figure out how to play. If Donovan Wilson is on a team, look, I'm gonna say this, and we're gonna talk about this on our show. What would Jimmy do? WWJD. What Jimmy would do? He would figure out a way to get all of these guys involved in the defense in some kind of way.
Like
That's what
one,
that.
yeah, you gotta have him on the field.
Yeah, he should have been playing the whole time.
He gotta play.
Jimmy Johnson in the '90s when they was winning Super Bowls, Jimmy would play 20 people on defense.
Yeah, no,
That ain't that, and he was the first coach to really do that.
yeah, I was just gonna say they always say he was the first coach to just rotate players in and all of that.
Yeah, he really he was the person that brought that into the league, and when he was doing it, people thought it was goofy,
Like Tom
but
Landry brought the third down back.
and the shotgun. If you go back and watch them '90s games, and I watched a lot of the '90s playoff games the last couple of weekends, you saw Bill Bates on a nickel and dime. Bill Bates was he didn't have no role with Tom Landry, none.
So Bland wants to play nickel, but Bland wants to play nickel, but they putting him on the outside. So it would be Diggs and Bland on outside, or it would be Diggs and Elam at corner and Bland and nickel. Now what? Now
Bland in the slot, yeah.
yeah, and Izzy
But when we play Philly, the first game,
Bland gonna
I,
be on the outside.
yeah, our corners are gonna be Bland and
Bland
Elam, and I think Izzy is gonna be the third guy.
or it's gonna be our fourth round, fifth round pick from last year.
Carson,
Yeah, Kalen Carson.
I think it's gonna be Elam, Bland, and Izzy.
Now they saying Elam is trying to resurrect his career. He was a first round pick, and
Yeah,
so you know
his dad
maybe he
played for
will.
the Cowboys.
Maybe he will. You know
So
what I mean?
Jesse Holly had his little thing today. They were showing his play, and
Mm.
they were showing him on the sideline, and he was talking to Elam's dad. Elam was on the team, but yeah, I think it's gonna be Elam, Bland, and Izzy to start the Philly game. I think one year is gonna play a lot.
Yeah, you know, Eberflus seemed like he all in. You know, I got this thing to where I be feeling like, you know, some of these coaches are Cowboy coaches and some of them are not. Like I never felt like Mike McCarthy was a Cowboy coach. He just was like a Green Bay coach coaching in Dallas. But I feel like Eberflus is a Cowboy coach. You know what I'm
He
saying?
is. Yeah.
Like I felt like Zimmer was a Cowboy coach. You know what I mean? Uh, I feel like Shoddy is a Cowboy coach. You know what I mean? Like so they said Revel can play anywhere too. Now when he's healthy, if he was healthy, if he didn't get injured, he would have been a first round pick.
We wouldn't have him.
Yeah, we wouldn't have him if he didn't get hurt. He would have been probably the first corner to go off the board.
He would have been.
Yeah, because when I was looking last year, I got a screenshot of the college rankings on Tankathon. Elam was the first corner. He was like the first 5 pick.
Ravel.
I mean, yeah, Ravel was like a top 5.
Yeah, we only got him because he got hurt. But if he gets healthy, if they don't rush him, he's gonna be a great player.
I ain't gonna lie, he don't look good right now. The other day when I was watching him running on the treadmill, I was just like, bro, you need to get off that treadmill.
So Clarence Hill, and this was 2 or 3 weeks ago when he was out there at the camp. He said Elam, I keep saying Elam. He said Ravel was still limping, which not surprising. And that's why I say Ravel and Diggs, they need to start the season on pup. They don't need to be rushed. Elam, Diggs, and Izzy and Wanye, they just got to hold the fort down.
And they can.
Yeah.
They got to hold the fort down. You know what I'm saying? And
Kalen Carson.
And when Butler come back, and he going to be in the mix.
I think Butler's going to be later in the season if he's able to do it because he got hurt kind of late.
He got hurt in the Washington game.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a minute. It's a year, so I'm not sure Butler. Now Diggs got hurt before the season started, but he also has the microfracture surgery, which is like a totally. I had that surgery.
Yeah, Diggs he got hurt on command. He just said, you know what, I'm done with this.
No, you ready to go ahead and wrap? You've been on for an hour and a half.
Been on for an hour and a half, man.
Y'all, can't believe the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's 10:30, man. We loving our dialogue with all of our people, Keystone, Los Altos, B Bird. We really appreciate y'all. You know, y'all like family at this point. You know, so we gonna be back to top it up with y'all some more. So I want to do a series called, we're gonna do the series. What would Jimmy do? And then we're gonna do the series, but what we really gonna do the series is the 30-year drought. That's gonna be more than one video. I don't think that's gonna be one video. It's gonna be more than one. So we try to get with B Bird, but that's gonna be a series. It's gonna be kind of 3 parts or something like that because there's a lot to talk about on why it's been a 30-year drought and they haven't won a second playoff game. So y'all keep your eyes and ears open for that, and we appreciate everybody again. So we got some new shorts up, so if y'all want to go check them out, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the like button for us on our shorts so we can try to beat the algorithm and get monetized or whatever you want to call it, and get this channel jumping because I think we're gonna take off before the season. I think this is gonna be a good season. I really do. It's gonna be a very interesting season. New regime, new Cowboys regime. So it's gonna be a lot of stuff to talk about. We got a lot of new players. We had a great draft, I think, and so it's gonna be one of them ones. So y'all make sure y'all tapping in with us. Y'all make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell, and we'll see y'all on the next one. Holla.